the perspective I have is a little different because I kind of grew up, first understanding a little bit about Badger football maybe in the late 40s, early 50s. And a lot of those guys then were, our heroes, Darryl Teddix, Coda, Michi, Gary Messner was a neighbor, people like that. And then, you're involved in it yourself as an athlete, and then going away and still being interested in what's going on here. And then as athletic director, you probably get a little bit better perspective when you start to deal with the Hall of Fame issues and people who's going to Hall of Fame. And some of the people that were still alive back then when I first took over, Howie Weiss, for example, and Elroy, and all those people, some of the names that were on the list that people maybe wouldn't know who they were, but because, we were either seeing them at a meeting or getting together, you knew who they were. And so it's understandable that most people gravitate towards the more recent athletes and things like that. But certainly there are some in there that stand out either as great players. I think understanding the fact that there was a two-way system as well. The Steve Ambrose, for example, most people didn't realize he was a football player, let alone people regarded him as maybe one of the last two-way players. Ron Miller, for example, was number 9. And Ron Miller was a player who had a great junior year. He'd lost a year because of injury. They requested another year for him to come back. He didn't get that year, so he was not able to play in 1962, and that's when Ron Vanderkellen showed up and he took Miller's place. Had Miller been given that other year, it might have been Ron Miller instead of Ron Vanderkellen, who knows, but he was a number 9. Well, I think, like anything else, after a long drought and the success with the Rose Bowls we had with Barry, it kind of brings things together a little bit, and people start to draw those comparisons to teams, etc., and records, and it's so hard because the number of games we had, even when I played, was so much more or less than what we have today, and within the Big Ten, and you had a couple of non-conference games, and so you're drawing those comparisons together in terms of the older teams, and I don't think anybody would question if you looked physically at a player today versus a player in the 60s, for example, not that far back, or maybe the 70s, completely different. I was 228 pounds when I was in Wisconsin. I was the second heaviest guy on the line. I was playing end, and we had a tackle who was heavier. Our two guards were like 190-some pounds. Our two guards would make one of Aaron Gibson. I mean, you talk about numbers. It was amazing. There were some numbers that were in the 1 through 99. You say was totally void of anyone that you'd say was really an impact type player. There were others that had multiples, and certainly when you look at the numbers that are retired, 40 is a great number. 33, is going to be a great number. 35 is a great. 88 is a great number. I mean, 83 with Alan Schaefer is a little bit different. 80 with Schreiner. Obviously, with 100 numbers, not everybody can have their choice. Somebody has to have a number. In some cases, they have doubles, and maybe that's because they like that number rather than taking a number nobody wants. I look at the 88s that are in college, and the professionals, and Ron Kramer with the Packers and things like that. And so you just, I guess sometimes you have a choice, and I can't recall when I was here, I think it was, as you might expect, saying, well, here's your number. Why was 88? I had 85 in high school and 78 and things like that, so why was 80 here? Easy to remember, I guess.